U.S. tariffs as really the main pressure point and leverage, as you say, to negotiate a host of economic deals and also, other foreign policy.
Topping headlines today, the Supreme Court ruled over many of President Donald Trump's tariffs, saying he overstepped his authority.
On a quiet morning in Washington, the Supreme Court delivered a ruling that instantly erased billions of dollars in tariffs. The judgment was clear. The president had exceeded his legal authority. The tariffs imposed in 2025 were unconstitutional. For global businesses, this wasn't just a legal decision, it was a financial earthquake. Lawyers rushed to calculate refunds. Executives froze supply contracts. Markets paused, waiting for clarity. For a brief moment, it looked like the trade war had hit a wall. Then, just hours later, the White House struck back. A new tariff order was signed. Not next week, not after negotiations, the same day. Using a different legal mechanism, a new set of import taxes was launched, sweeping across global supply chains with brutal speed. In a single afternoon, billions in old tariffs were canceled and billions in new ones were created. The law had spoken, power responded, and businesses were trapped in between. What followed was not a political battle, it was a financial one. A clash between law and executive authority that instantly destabilized pricing, contracts, logistics, and investment plans around the world. And buried beneath this chaos is a secret number that could quietly reshape the stock market: $170 billion. This is the story of how the Supreme Court and the White House collided, and how that battle may trigger one of the largest hidden financial shifts in modern economic history. The Supreme Court concluded that the president had pushed beyond constitutional limits when imposing the 2025 tariffs. The legal foundation used to justify them simply did not hold. Overnight, billions of dollars in import taxes became legally questionable. Years of trade policy collapsed into uncertainty. For multinational corporations, the implications were immediate. Importers who had paid massive duties on electronics, machinery, vehicles, raw materials, and consumer goods suddenly realized something staggering. That money might have to be returned. Accounting departments began recalculating exposure. Legal teams filed claims, financial models were rewritten. Within days, corporations had submitted refund requests totaling nearly $170 billion. This was not a normal tax dispute. This was a direct threat to the government's revenue stream and a massive potential cash injection into corporate balance sheets. If approved, these refunds would instantly reduce corporate debt, strengthen earnings, and trigger stock buybacks, bonuses, and new investment cycles. Markets sensed it. Traders began speculating. Analysts started whispering about a hidden stimulus wave moving quietly through the legal system. But beneath the optimism sat fear, because the ruling didn't just cancel tariffs, it shattered predictability. The response came faster than anyone expected. Within hours of the ruling, the White House signed a new tariff order, this time using a different legal weapon. Instead of relying on the authority that the Supreme Court had just struck down, the administration invoked Section 122, an emergency trade power rarely used in modern history. The move allowed immediate tariffs of 10 to 15%, applied broadly across imports from multiple regions. Legally, it was a workaround. Financially, it was an escalation. Unlike the previous tariffs, which targeted specific sectors and countries, the new surcharges were wider and more aggressive. Companies now faced a surreal equation. On one side, they were filing refund claims for $170 billion, money they believed had been illegally collected. On the other, they were suddenly paying new tariffs that covered more products and more supply routes than before. For executives, it was financial whiplash. The old system was dead. The new system was harsher, and no one knew how long either would last. Contracts signed under the previous rules instantly became liabilities. Prices negotiated months earlier no longer covered rising costs. Supply chain managers scrambled to reroute shipments, delay deliveries, or renegotiate agreements. Some companies absorbed the losses, others passed them directly to customers. Either way, uncertainty spread through global commerce like a shockwave. For markets, this was the worst-case scenario. Investors can price risk, they cannot price chaos. With two opposing forces rewriting trade policy in real time, analysts struggled to forecast earnings, inflation, and consumer demand. Stock prices swung wildly as traders tried to guess whether refund checks or higher tariffs would dominate corporate balance sheets. This wasn't just a legal dispute anymore. It was a power struggle. over who controls economic authority. The Supreme Court had drawn a constitutional line. The White House had stepped around it. And businesses were left navigating a financial battlefield where the rules could change overnight. If the courts approve these refund claims, the result will not look like traditional stimulus. There will be no government checks, no political announcements, no public celebration. Instead, the money will move silently, flowing directly into corporate balance sheets, strengthening earnings overnight, and quietly reshaping the stock market. $170 billion would instantly reduce corporate debt. It would repair damaged margins. It would fuel share buybacks, dividend increases, and aggressive expansion plans. For investors, this would appear as a sudden improvement in profitability, a mysterious boost in earnings, and an unexpected surge in market confidence. Analysts would debate it, traders would chase it. Markets would climb not because of growth, not because of productivity, but because of legal refunds quietly re-injected into the system. This is why the refund battle matters so deeply. Unlike traditional economic stimulus, which requires political negotiation, legislation, and public approval, this money would bypass all of that. No debates, no votes, no oversight. Just legal rulings triggering automatic financial transfers. The result would be one of the largest silent liquidity injections in modern history, and the timing could not be more volatile. Markets in 2026 are already balancing on fragile foundations, high debt, elevated valuations, geopolitical tension, and slowing global growth. Into this delicate environment, a $170 billion surge could act like financial adrenaline, pushing asset prices higher, amplifying risk-taking, and encouraging leverage. Short-term optimism could surge, while long-term stability quietly erodes. For corporations, the incentive is obvious. Legal teams are now racing to secure refunds as quickly as possible. Accounting departments are calculating future earnings as if the money is already theirs. Executives are planning investments, acquisitions, and restructuring strategies based on refunds that technically do not yet exist. In boardrooms across the world, billion-dollar decisions are being shaped by a court ruling that has not fully played out. Meanwhile, consumers remain trapped on the opposite side of the equation. While corporations may receive massive refunds, shoppers face higher prices under the new tariff structure. The same system that may soon reward multinational companies could simultaneously punish households through rising costs, tighter budgets, and shrinking purchasing power. The $170 billion potential refund isn't just a windfall, it's a double-edged sword. Markets react quickly to liquidity, but the underlying system is fragile. Businesses face uncertainty on multiple fronts: which tariffs will stand, which will be refunded, and which will change next. Supply chains remain unpredictable. Importers hesitate to commit to long-term contracts. Manufacturers struggle to price goods accurately. Investment slows. Expansion stalls. The risk is systemic. A sudden surge of refunds could temporarily boost corporate liquidity, but it also risks overheating the market, inflating asset prices, and encouraging excessive risk-taking. Conversely, if the refunds are delayed or rejected, litigation could tie up billions in capital for years, creating cascading uncertainty for investors, employees, and markets worldwide. For consumers, the invisible burden continues. While corporations may see sudden gains, everyday households are already paying higher prices under the new tariffs. The result is a quiet transfer of wealth. Money flows upward into corporate coffers while the cost of living creeps higher for the public. It is a reminder that in modern finance, stability is a fragile illusion, and the biggest shifts often happen in legal filings and executive orders rather than on trading floors. The Supreme Court versus the White House is more than a political clash. It's a window into the modern battlefield of economic power, where legal authority, executive action, and corporate strategy collide in ways that shape the global economy silently but profoundly. Every purchase, every shipment, every contract now exists under this shadow war. Courts and the White House decide who wins, and the ripple effects reach the markets, corporations, and consumers alike. One ruling can trigger billions in refunds, one executive order can create new tariffs overnight, and the cycle repeats, quietly reshaping wealth, risk, and power. The question is no longer simply who controls trade policy. The question is, who controls the economy when law and authority collide? If this exposed how much power hides behind legal rulings and tariffs, like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who still thinks markets are straightforward. Because the biggest financial battles today are happening silently, and most people never see them.